Okay, good morning.
Not yet, not yet. Let's see. Now.
Good morning. Monday morning to everyone. This is state and local government. It's 10 a.m. It's Monday. First order of business is establishing a quorum, which is a minimum of 7 members. I see that we have a minimum of 7 members here. Let's just go around. I just want to, there's a couple of prefatory remarks. The committee is assembled electronically today for the purposes of inviting public comment on legislation. Before we get started, I want to share some information related to the fact that this meeting is being conducted using electronic format. The meeting is currently being live streamed on the committee's YouTube channel. That means that anyone who is a participant in the meeting via Zoom can be seen and also heard if their microphone is unmuted. People on the Zoom meeting waiting to testify cannot be seen or heard until they are called upon to speak. This meeting will be recorded and available to view on the committee's YouTube channel soon after the meeting has been concluded. In a moment, I will have committee members introduce themselves. Before I do, I will ask committee members to keep their mic muted until I call on you. Let's start with, and I'm going to go around the screen that I have. So Representative Sean Paulus. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Sean Paulus. I represent House District 52, which is all of the city of Bath.
Great. Good morning. Representative Donna Dorr.
Good morning, Senator. I am Representative Donna Dorr, and I represent a portion of Augusta.
Great. Representative Lynn Copeland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Lynn Copeland. I represent District 14, which is downtown in coastal Saco, and I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. Senator Ned Claxton.
Good morning. I'm Ned Claxton. I represent Senate District 20, which is Auburn, Minot, Mechanic Falls, Poland, and New Gloucester.
Great. Representative Randall Greenwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I'm Randall Greenwood, House District 82, which represents Litchfield, Monmouth, and my hometown of Wales in both Androscoggin and Kennebec counties.
Okay, thank you. Representative Mark Bryant.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Mark Bryant from Windham. I represent House District 24, out of the town of Windham. Welcome.
Welcome. Representative Walter Reisman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Representative Walter Reisman. I represent District 69, 2 counties of Oxford and Cumberland, and the towns are Harrison, Bridgeton, and Denmark. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Senator Kimberly Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Kimberly Rosen, Senate District 8. My district goes from Castine through Brewer all the way up to Lincoln, and I live in Bucksport.
Great. Representative Francis Head. Good morning. Representative Head, you're on.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I represent District 117, which is part of Franklin and Oxford counties.
Great, thank you. Representative William Toole.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm Will Toole. I represent the Machias area plus Lubec and Eastport.
Great. Representative Kathy Downs.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Kathy Downs. I represent District 130, which is Bucksport and Orrington.
Thank you. Representative Ann Matlack.
Thank you, Senator. My name is Ann Matlack. I represent House District 92, which includes the communities of Cushing, Thomaston, South Thomaston, St. George, Matinicus, Creehaven, and the Muscle Ridge Islands.
Thank you very much. So if your name on your Zoom square is not the name you use to register to testify, it may be a bit of a challenge for us to identify you. So please check your name listings and make sure they're consistent with the person you are. Please be patient. You should also know that it may momentarily appear as though you've been dropped from the meeting. When we call you up to speak, it takes a second or two, but rest assured you will reappear and will then be able to provide your testimony. The format is new to all of us, and we expect that there will be unforeseen glitches and mistakes. Please be patient. We're doing our best, and we will learn as we go along and hopefully improve along the way. A reminder to members of the committee about use of Zoom chat function. This function is not to be used for substantive discussions by anyone. You should know that the chat window can be viewed by any person taking part in this meeting as a participant. Participants include members of the committee, staff, and any member of the public during the time they have been promoted to participant for the purpose of providing testimony to the committee. All questions of persons testifying will be made through the chair. For each bill being heard today, I or my co-chair will call on sponsors and co-sponsors to speak first. When called upon, you will be promoted from attendee to participant. After presentation by sponsors and co-sponsors, we will call on members of the public based on how they registered to testify. For the bill, against the bill, or neither for nor against the bill, but wishing to provide information. When you are called upon, I will ask you to state your name, your place of residence, and the organization that you represent, if any. After you are done speaking and there are no more questions from the members, I or my co-chair will then return you to attendee and call upon the next person registered to speak. When you are called upon, please make sure that your microphone is not on mute. It would be greatly appreciated if when you're done offering testimony to this committee on the bill scheduled for today, that you exit the Zoom meeting. You may continue to watch the hearing on the committee's YouTube channel. If you need to exit the meeting before being called upon to testify, please be aware that you may submit written testimony at any time by accessing the legislature's testimony submission page on legislature.maine.gov. The meeting is being broadcast and recorded on YouTube and can also be heard over the legislature's audio broadcast system. Any testimony you submit is public and may be posted on the legislature's website. Again, please keep your microphone muted until you are called upon to speak. Now I will open the hearing on LD 193, a resolve to name a mountain in Oxford County. Okay, Lynn Caswell, our analyst, go right ahead.
I just want to ask when you would like me to share the new electronic file.
Well, I think let's get, I think sometime after we do these public hearings. Is that all right, Representative Matlack? Okay. Lynn, did you have any comments that you wanted to make about this LD? Okay. Senator Bennett and Senator Kime, welcome.
Thank
Senator
you.
Bennett, did you provide photographs or anything so we can see the mountain?
I did.
Oh, great. Looking forward to that.
Yes.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Senator Baldacci, Representative Matlack, and esteemed members of the Joint Standing Committee on State and Local Government. My name is Rick Bennett. I live in Oxford, and I have the honor of representing the beautiful foothills and lakes region of Western Maine in the Maine Senate. I'm very pleased to introduce LD 193, resolve to name a mountain in Oxford County. Greenwood, Maine has been an important part of my life and that of my family for generations. Of major significance is the property that my sister and I now own near Sheepskin Bog. Our modest property has been in the family now for 6 generations. It includes about 90 acres of land and a rustic cabin. These turns of land in Greenwood are very special to us. Many in our family know them intimately. We each have a strong sense of stewardship and have passed the property along from generation to generation for nearly 150 years. Part of our property includes about 1/4 of the mountain lying between Twitchell Pond and Sheepskin Bog. Locals call this mountain either Jason's Mountain or Oak Hill, but it has no legal name. However, there's already an official Oak Hill just 3 miles away, sitting on the Greenwood-Woodstock line. This resolve simply names the mountain Jason's Mountain. And this would be in honor of my great-grandfather's memory and his contributions to the land and to the town of Greenwood overall. My father, Dean Bennett, is a noted Maine author and expert on natural history. When our cabin was built on this land, he was 1 year old. That was 84 years ago. The cabin was built by his grandfather, Jason Bennett, longtime town tax collector. Our cabin has been a central part of my father's life ever since. Indeed, he recently wrote a memoir called Ghost Buck, which gives some dimension to the special quality of this place. As my father writes in his own testimony for this bill, which has been submitted, as Jason, quote, and I'm quoting his testimony, was recovering from a kidney operation, more than 30 relatives and friends helped him build a camp close to the mountain in a place he had come to love while recuperating. He had bought the land in 1923 when he was 33. It had previously been owned by his father and his grandfather in the 1890s. When I was a boy, my father writes, we all went to camp every weekend, spring, summer, and fall, depending on the weather and the black flies. We all took long walks in the woods together, many to the mountain. We frequently fished the nearby bog on his land, Sheepskin Bog, after which the camp was named, and we hunted together every fall. The mountain was a popular destination, my father wrote. I can attest that it's still a very popular destination with my family. I contacted the 3 other neighboring property owners of the mountain who are principally affected by this naming. Mary Pat Conroy of Durham, Maine, Ari Kurtz of Lincoln, Massachusetts, and Miriam Daniel, who owns Bald Bluff LLC in Chevy Chase, Maryland. And I asked for their support of this naming. Each wrote me back with their enthusiastic endorsement. Mary Pat Conroy wrote, quote, I am honored to support naming the mountain between Twitchell Pond and Sheepskin Bog, Jason's Mountain, in memory of your great-grandfather and his contributions. Ari Kurtz wrote, quote, I absolutely support naming the mountain Jason's Mountain after your great-grandfather. It seems very appropriate to honor his memory in this way. And Miriam Daniel wrote, quote, we are pleased to support your effort to name Jason's Mountain after your great-grandfather. I also asked, as is customary in these kinds of bills, for the approval of the Greenwood Board of Selectmen, and their letter of support is attached to this testimony. They voted 3-0 in support of this measure. Finally, I have provided with you a painting of the mountain as seen from Sheepskin Bog and with a map of the area so that you can see the exact location of the mountain. It's marked with an X. You're always welcome. I'd be happy to take you to the mountain whenever you wish. Thank you for your consideration today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator Bennett. That was a very wonderful tribute to your grandfather. Are there any questions of members of the committee? Representative Ann Matlack.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Senator Bennett, for joining us today. I have a quick question. Do you know if this mountain was ever given a name by the indigenous people who have lived here forever?
Have no idea about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments? Okay. Representative William Toole. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, question I have is, where does the town of Greenwood stand on this? Have they submitted testimony or a letter or something?
Thank you, Representative Toole. Yes, they have. I submitted their letter, which is a letter of support of this bill, along with their minutes from their meeting, and I attached that to my testimony.
Great, thank you. Seeing no other questions for Senator Bennett, Senator Keim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bennett.
Thank you.
Senator Keim. I want to give you a chance as a co-sponsor to speak.
Yes, good morning. Senator Baldacci and Representative Matlack and members of the Joint Standing Committee. state and local government. I submitted written testimony on this bill and just happened to be in the queue because I was waiting for my next bill up. So I won't read my testimony to you, but I am in full support. And as Senator Bennett said, the local elected officials all agreed to this name change as well. So I'm happy to also lend my support.
Great. Any questions for Senator Kine? Okay. Okay, I don't see any other questions. I can close this public hearing. Okay, this public hearing is now closed. The next public hearing item is oh yeah, go ahead.
I think Representative Toole was in the queue first.
Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Toole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move that we go into work session on LD 193.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any objections? Seeing none, we're in a work session. Is there a motion?
I'd make a motion ought to pass.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. It's been moved and seconded. I think Cheryl, who is this week a squirrel with a 4-leaf clover.
Shamrock. Shamrock.
Shamrock, thank you. I'd ask you to call the roll.
All right. You took me by surprise.
I know, that took me by surprise.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
This is for ought to pass for 193. Okay,
Yes.
all right. Representative Randall.
Representative Greenwood's yes.
Oh. Good morning, everybody. Representative Randall Greenwood. Representative Randall Greenwood, yes. Representative Sean Paulus.
Yes.
Representative Sean Paulus, yes. Representative Francis Head.
Yes.
Representative Francis Head, yes. Representative William Toole.
Yes.
Representative William Toole, yes. Representative Mark Bryant.
Yes.
Representative Mark Bryant, yes. Representative Ann Matlack.
Yes.
Representative Ann Matlack, yes. Representative Senator Joseph Baldacci.
Yes.
Senator Joseph Baldacci, yes. Senator Kimberly Rosen.
Yes.
Senator Kimberly Rosen, yes. Senator Ned Claxton.
Yes.
Senator Ned Claxton, yes. Representative Donna Dorr.
Yes.
Representative Donna Dorr, yes. Representative Walter Reisman.
Yes.
Representative Walter Reisman, yes. Representative Kathy Downs.
Yes.
Representative Kathy Downs, yes. Representative Lynn Copeland.
Yes.
Representative Lynn Copeland, yes. Unanimous, ought to pass, and for LD 193.
Great. Okay, now I'm going to open the public hearing on LD 375, which is Senator Kine's bill. I also would note that I'm a co-sponsor of the bill, which is an act to create greater accountability in the Office of County Sheriff. I would ask our analysts, Lynn, you want to give us?
No, this is a public hearing. The analysts will tell us what we talked about later on, but for right now, it's for us to talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
So it's public hearing right about now.
Okay, so I would ask the sponsor first, Senator Kine, to take the floor and tell us about your bill.
Well, good morning again, Senator Baldacci and Representative Matlack, members of the Joint Standing Committee on State and Local Government. I am Lisa Keim, and I am proud to represent the citizens of Senate District 18, which is beautiful northern Oxford County in 2 communities in Androscoggin. I'm here today to introduce LD 375, an act to create greater accountability in the office of county sheriff. It is past time that Maine have a system of greater accountability for the important and powerful position of county sheriff. As a county's leading law enforcement officer and the people's chosen protector, a county sheriff holds a position of high esteem. This position is also one of significant centralized power in one person with equal potential for abuse. Last session, I submitted much the same legislation as this in response to actions of the former Oxford County Sheriff, much of which took place in 2017 and has since become well documented by the Bangor Daily News. The article is linked to my testimony. Now that the details of that particular case and others that are equally troubling have been brought to light, I believe we have an imperative to create a process of increased oversight, specifically enabling some course of action that will allow a sheriff to be placed on leave while an investigation into any alleged wrongdoing can be undertaken. For instance, in the Oxford County case, while being investigated, the sheriff remained active for more than 40 days, during which time records were destroyed. Though there was strong indication of egregious behavior with no method of temporary suspension, the sheriff was fully in charge of law enforcement throughout Oxford County until he himself resigned. In current procedure set by the Maine Constitution, a county sheriff may be removed from office whenever the governor, upon complaint, due notice, and hearing, shall find that a sheriff is not faithfully or efficiently performing any duty imposed upon the sheriff by law. The governor may remove such sheriff from office and appoint another sheriff to serve for the remainder of the term for which such removed sheriff was elected, quoted from the Constitution of the state of Maine. The issue here is that there is no intermediary steps. So when situations arise requiring investigation prior to removal, a sheriff still remains in office. This bill seeks to create that procedure, allowing for a majority of the county commissioners to file a complaint against the sheriff for improper, unethical, or criminal behavior with the Superior Court. After a hearing, if the court finds cause, the court may place the sheriff on administrative leave and forward the matter to the governor for consideration of removal of the sheriff from office. In closing, there are several considerations I would bring to the committee's attention. First, it is important to note that unlike last session, now the Sheriff's Association is in support of this bill and crafted this version. This bill inserts the court into the removal process, which I believe adds an important layer of protection against political influence. When the Oxford County Commissioners brought the sheriff issue to the governor and to the Attorney General, there was no assistance from either for investigation. I am pleased to allow the committee to work through any issues and modify the process as you see best, considering who should be responsible to undertake an investigation and determine if administrative leave is appropriate. The language of the bill notes that administrative leave is with pay. However, if indeed a sheriff is found to be at fault, I question if the county should be forced to pay the salary, and that's one consideration I would ask the committee to make. Since a sheriff is a constitutional office, any additional oversight must be considered in light of the language of the Maine Constitution. I know this is a serious consideration for this bill. As the committee considers the pros and cons of a process of administrative leave for sheriffs, I would urge remembrance that this constitutionally created office is important to the balance of powers, and it is imperative that the office and any oversight mechanism be safeguarded from political manipulations. As an elected official, a sheriff is ultimately accountable to the people. So I thank you for your consideration of this important issue, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Senator Kime. Are there any questions for Senator Kime? Representative Ann Matlack?
Thank you, Senator, and welcome, Senator Kime.
Thank you.
I want to preface this by saying I'm totally in support of what you want to achieve. I'm concerned that you won't be able to achieve it through the system you've set up because the sheriff is a constitutionally designated position. How can the legislature impose a remedy like this? What standing does the legislature have to do this? And can a sheriff simply refuse to participate in this because they are elected officials? I know in Knox County, where I come from, there was not necessarily tension, but in discussing how, for example, county commissioners could set the pay for constitutionally elected officers, they were looked to be sitting in judgment of another elected official, and it was something I think that really hasn't been fully realized yet. But can you explain to me how the county commissioners would be allowed to, in many ways, pass judgment on the sheriff?
Thank you, Representative Matlack. Yes, I've had a lot of discussions right around all of these issues. And the current practice right now is that county commissioners bring a complaint to the governor. And that's the process. So already in law, county commissioners do have the power to bring a sheriff to, rise any allegations to the governor and have the governor remove the sheriff. I believe that we can create a process that doesn't change the Constitution, because still there is, the removal would only be by the governor, and this wouldn't change that. What it creates is the ability to have administrative leave. And you ask a good question around, would the sheriffs subject themselves to that? Or would the law that we create be legally binding on them, given their constitutional office? I don't know. It's something we've gone over and over again. And I think it's something that, someone with more knowledge of the law than I to answer that particular question. Did I answer everything fully, or did I miss something in your question?
No, I don't think so. There's also the other aspect of the buy-in from the court system, it being able to pick up this administrative piece of it. Again, I'd like to see something like this happen. I believe that it should. I would be most supportive of it, but I'm still concerned about the constitutional issues.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. As am I. Many people that I've talked to have said that they feel that there is a way to make this happen, and that wouldn't go against the Constitution. In my bill last session, rather than having the Superior Court injected in the process, I had suggested that we just simply give the governor the ability to place a sheriff on leave, in addition to being able to remove them. Maybe that's a better process. What happened with the Oxford County Sheriff, however, is that no one, to actually remove someone from office requires that step of saying, oh, wait, is what they have done, are the allegations rising to the level of removal? And then what do you do in the meantime? Do you leave someone in full control of law enforcement throughout a county when you're still trying to answer the question of whether or not they should be removed? So, possibly sending both steps to the governor is a better route than having the courts involved. But it seemed that the courts were one step that was a neutral party, because of course the governor's elected, the sheriff's elected, the county commissioners are elected, and the courts are not. So it was, I think, a good idea to interject an entity that was neutral, to say, okay, this isn't just, county commissioners who are in disagreement with a sheriff about something trivial. This rises to the level that the governor should consider removal, and we therefore will say this sheriff is on leave. So I like the process. I think the court will be speaking after me, and they may have more ability to weigh in on what they see as constitutional around this process.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Representative Lynn Copeland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for speaking to us about this important bill, Senator Khan. I just have one question. I know it talks about the complaint has to be based on facts, and I like that. I like facts, but it doesn't say that there's an investigation. I guess it's assumed, but I think that it would be nice and tight to put in there that after an complete investigation.
So I appreciate that comment, absolutely, and I agree with what you're saying. One of the concerns that we had in the county, in Oxford County, when this happened, is that an investigation was being undertaken about the sheriff while the sheriff was still in office, and records were destroyed. And so I think if you have enough information that the allegations are substantial, I think leave might be the only way to protect not only just the people of the county, but also the records.
I agree. I mean, that it sounds like a horrible situation, and I did read about it in the news. So I'm just wondering, perhaps our analysts could come up with some language that would make it clear that, you know, that what you're looking to get them out of the office immediately, you know, because it talks about court procedures and they're not quick. So I think there's a little tweaking needed here.
I agree with you. I think there is absolutely tweaking needed, and the courts would be happy, I think, to work with the committee and give them suggestions on that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Claxton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, Senator Keim.
Good morning.
As somebody who signed on to this bill before in the prior session, I continue to support it. And I think this is an example of a bill that has matured with time and gotten better. I do have the same concern that Representative Copeland had about how quickly we could get somebody out of office to protect the evidence. So that'll be an important question to be addressed as we go forward. Thank you for reintroducing it.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Claxton. And I think the Attorney General will be speaking, or someone from his office, and they may be also be able to speak to the idea around investigation and how quick we can move through the process in order to protect records and people.
Okay, Representative Copeland, you have another question? Or you had your hand up? Okay. Any other questions for Senator Keim? Okay, I see no further questions. We have a number of speakers, I understand, from Cheryl that wish to speak. I think the first one is Jan Collins from Wilton.
Okay.
Hi, Jan. Are you there?
I am. Thank you
Nice
so
to see you.
much. Really appreciate being here today. Greetings, Senator Baldacci, Representative Matlack, and honorable members of the State and Local Government Committee. My name is Jan Collins. I am Assistant Director of the Maine Prisoner Advocacy Coalition and a member of the Franklin County Board of Visitors. I'm here to support LD 375 and act to create greater accountability in the Office of County Sheriff. MPAC's mission is to support Maine incarcerated citizens, their families and friends in their struggle with Maine's criminal justice system. Our purpose is to reduce Maine's use of incarceration by creating a criminal justice system that is ethical, humane, and restorative in nature. First, I must be clear that in Franklin County, we have a sheriff, Scott Nichols, who is easy to work with, supportive of efforts to assist inmates, and willing to work together with community groups to improve jail services and community reintegration. Secondly, we know that there have been incidences in Maine where the county sheriff has acted outside of both ethical and legal boundaries. Yet our Constitution gives very little recourse for remedy in such circumstances. My support of this bill is based on one of the founding principles of a democratic government, that of checks and balances. This bill takes small steps in that direction by stipulating that county commissioners have a role in the oversight of county sheriffs. By including a review by the judicial branch, this bill provides a clear and impartial structure for oversight, ensuring that the referral to the governor is not purely political in nature. I would like to thank Senator Keim for sponsoring this bill and urge the committee to give it your full support. And I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Any questions for Ms. Collins? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Collins. We appreciate your time very much. And
Thank you.
thank you. Our next speaker is our sheriff right here in Penobscot County, Troy Morton. Troy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Senator. I always appreciate our friends from criminal justice, but it's always nice to get in front of a different committee once in a while. So
Okay.
thank you very much. Senator Baldacci, Representative Matlack, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on State and Local Government. My name is Troy Morton. I am the Sheriff of Penobscot County, also the President of Maine Sheriff's Association. Maine Sheriffs work closely with the sponsor of LD 375, Senator Lisa Keim, and we support this bill and act to create greater accountability for the Office of County Sheriff. There is a history behind today's bill that is important to revisit to fully understand why Maine Sheriffs support LD 375. During the 129th legislative session, Senator Keim brought forth a similar bill, which was defeated in this committee and unanimously opposed by the Maine Sheriffs. Our position at the time was not in the concept of the bill, but rather its mechanics beyond its implementation. It is our collective position that Senator Keim's diligent work in moving this concept forward while respectfully addressing the sheriff's concerns is commendable. Maine Sheriffs and Senator Keim have the same objective in mind: to create a mechanism in which the county sheriff's actions is objectable, if objectable, can be sent for an immediate judicial review. It's a privilege to serve the citizens of Penobscot County as the sheriff. And like the other 15 sheriffs in the state of Maine, it's an honor I value deeply. While the undeniable truth is that the overwhelming majority of sheriffs are men and women of integrity, and we must hold accountable those who misstep. Maine deserves better, and those sheriffs who uphold their duties honorable deserve better. In June of 2020, Maine Sheriffs stood with the Maine Chiefs of Police, the Maine Prosecutors Association, and the Maine Department of Public Safety to deliver a critical message in response to the tragic death of George Floyd. The letter discussed holding law enforcement accountability, recognizing that change begins with law enforcement leaders. We support LD 375 because we stand behind the promise of accountability. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere," end quote. Please vote to support LD 375. I appreciate your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Sheriff Morton. Any questions for Sheriff Morton? Okay. Okay, Representative Reisman.
Thank you for your testimony, Sheriff Morton. One of the issues that came up a little bit earlier, but was the timing of how long it would take the judiciary to rule on any kind of complaint. Do you have a suggestion on how long do you think that should take?
Just as a little bit of history, Representative, and thank you for the question. I think it's important. I've heard the discussion and the questions that were brought to the senator earlier about that mechanism. We looked at this language from, I believe it's North Carolina, and I apologize, it could be South Carolina, where the Sheriff's Association in that state has this very mechanism in place, giving the constitutional right to the governor to remove a sheriff. I don't think that this interferes with the Constitution. We certainly wouldn't want that to happen. I believe that the courts could build a mechanism. We already have mechanisms in our courts, perhaps when we look at a protection order, which is written up on an affidavit and addressed in minutes, if not hours, temporary decisions are made. So there is abilities for the courts to quickly react. As far as the investigation part of this goes, we would still strongly encourage the Attorney General's office, who currently already has laws that direct the AG's office for investigation of police misconduct to be in place. We certainly believe that having the judiciary process in place would remove any political influences that may or may not occur. I don't believe that's always the case, but this is a law for the future, not just for today. And so certainly having a mechanism in place, allowing the governor and not interfering with our Constitution is a reason to have a good, strong mechanism in place. And we're happy to work through with the senator and you folks in work session to work on that mechanism. But I believe that we can get there through the courts.
Okay. Representative Matlack.
Thank you, Senator, and welcome, Sheriff Morton. A quick question, you may have already answered it indirectly, but what were the improvements made to this bill as opposed to the bill that Senator Kine introduced last session? Yes, thank you.
Sorry, Representative.
No, that's okay.
Still learning the virtual thing, all of us. Senator Kine was incredibly gracious. We spent some time with her discussing this and looking across the nation at other associations and how they work and what the processes are. The big difference here, Representative, is having the judicial system make that, having them have the ability to make a decision on a temporary suspension. As the senator pointed out, there's really no mechanism in the middle that talks about that suspension. It could be critical in a cases of a criminal conduct by a sheriff or any law enforcement. In that case, we wouldn't want any elected official to remain in a position longer than they should be. There should be processes in place for any elected official when it comes to. But in this particular case, when we're talking about sheriff, having the ability for the court to make that decision was really a crucial part. Again, Representative, we didn't disagree with the bill last year, only the process.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Representative Reisman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm wondering if you could just clarify for me, because I can read it two different ways. I think it's line 22 of the bill. The court shall forward the matter to the governor for review and may place the sheriff on administrative leave with pay. Who can place the sheriff on administrative leave? Is that the court or the governor?
Representative, I still see that to be the governor based on the court's decision. So if the court is making that quick assessment on whether there is reason to believe that there's fact behind this complaint, similar to, I guess I go back to the domestic violence or protection order process, that they're looking at those and making that initial review, that they could share that information with the governor, allowing the governor to make that continue with the constitutional decision on whether to suspend or not spend. And that's why I don't feel potentially that this interferes with the Constitution, nor do we want it to impact the Constitution.
Okay. Sheriff Morton, thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Zachary Hayden from the Maine ACLU. Good morning, Mr. Hayden.
Good morning, Senator Baldacci, Representative Matlack, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on State and Local Government. My name is Zach Hayden. I'm Chief Counsel at the ACLU of Maine, statewide organization committed to advancing and defending the constitutional rights and civil liberties of the people of Maine. And on behalf of our members, I write and appear before you today to support LD 375. I want to thank especially Senator Keim for her determination revising this proposal and sticking with it and coming up with a mechanism that seems to have garnered broader support. It is an incredibly important issue. Nobody should be above the law, least of all those charged with the responsibility of enforcing the law. And the people of Maine, thanks to very determined investigative reporting from the Bangor Daily News, know that people charged with enforcing the law were not themselves following the law, and that revealed the gap in accountability that I know this piece of legislation aims to fill. And I understand from the discussion this morning, there are still some details to be worked out, and want to offer that the ACLU of Maine is available if we can be of assistance in any way in helping with that process. But in the meantime, just wanted to urge the committee to vote ought to pass on this important bill, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hayden. Any questions for Mr. Hayden? I'm sure we'll take you up on that offer of help.
Thank you, Senator.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Hayden. Our next speaker is Jeffrey Kerr.
No, it's David,
Okay.
David Dugay,
Okay.
because he is still for the bill.
Okay, David Dugay. Good morning, sir. You're on mute.
How's that?
That's good. There you go.
Thank you. Senator Chair Baldacci, House Chair Matlack, and members of the committee. My name is Dave Dugay. I am an Oxford County Commissioner. All three of the Oxford County Commissioners, Commissioner Merrill, Commissioner Turner, and myself, favored a version of this bill in March of 2019. I just got notice that there was a hearing today. I just heard that this morning. So due to the short notice, I can only assuredly say at least two of the three commissioners do support LD 375. But I'm fairly confident I will hear from the third commissioner in the affirmative as well. Just can't get a hold of him right now. I am in favor of this bill for many reasons. In Oxford County, our folks, my constituents, like others in the 15 other counties, your constituents, have little or no recourse when they observe, are a victim of, hear credible allegations or otherwise of illegal activities of an elected sheriff. Oxford County experienced this painful legal issue with the shenanigans of the sheriff in 2017. The commission contacted the AG office and they, for various reasons, didn't touch it, and no other state of Maine option was available. It's my opinion that it's currently all or nothing. So it's either take the sheriff out of that position immediately or let him remain. This is a good step to have something in the middle. It's very common in law enforcement that folks are put on administrative leave with or without pay, most of the time with pay. It's my understanding and experience that initiating an investigation of an elected sheriff is nearly improbable. While extremely rare, it is possible that a bill like this would be helpful with respect to preserving evidence. In closing, there appears to be no state oversight option for elected county sheriffs who believe they are above the law or simply go rogue to be investigated. This bill allows for such oversight. I think this needs to be done carefully, lest it becomes a political witch hunt. LD 375 is crafted in that manner and is crafted to protect an elected sheriff from false charges as well. I thank this committee for considering this and will be pleased to answer any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for your time. Any questions for Commissioner Duguay? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Commissioner, for your time. Our next, thank you, is Jeffrey Kerr from Farmington, who is neither for nor against. Is that correct, Mr. Kerr?
No, that isn't correct, sir. I'm for this bill.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what I had gotten written down was wrong.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Go right ahead, sir.
Senator Baldacci, Representative Matlack, and members of the Joint Standing Committee and Joint of State and Local Government. My name is Jeffrey Kerr, and I'm a member of the Board of Visitors in Farmington, which is in Franklin County. When the sheriff of the county takes the law into his or her own hands, basically called a bully. Every 4 years, as you know, the sheriffs are elected for jobs mainly on their trust. When the trust is broken with the people, it's pretty hard to get back. Usually when someone breaks the law, they end up in trouble. If I run a red light, I'm going to get a fine or get pulled over. The sheriff also should have to answer to these situations. So, someone has to hold the sheriff accountable. According to how the law is now, how the law reads now, if the county commissioner's job, it is the county commissioner's job to hold him or her accountable because they are elected official. Some sheriffs, they take advantage of the law, in this fact, that they didn't have to answer to anyone like you or that they don't have to answer to anyone like you or I do is not right. It does not seem fair that a sheriff would be above the law. This is why this bill is so important. There has to be someone besides the Maine Criminal State Academy in Waterville or the governor of this fine state. Being a sheriff is a hard job, and we realize that. Thank you for your time, and I take any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Kerr? We appreciate you participating today.
May I just say one more thing?
Sure, go right ahead, sir.
Senator Baldacci, and my parents have met you before, so.
Okay, well, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I think the next speaker is Julia Finn. Is she with us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Hi there.
Oh,
Hi
hi.
there.
How you doing, Ms. Finn? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Senator Baldacci, Representative Matlack, members of the Joint Standing Committee on State and Local Government. My name is Julie Finn, and I represent the judicial branch. I am here today to provide information neither for nor against LD 375. We are not taking a position on the stated goals of this legislation, which are to create greater accountability in the office of the county sheriff. This is clearly a policy decision for the legislature and for this committee to decide. We do, however, have some comments about the process contained in the bill. The Maine Constitution outlines the procedure by which a county sheriff may be removed from office. Whenever the governor, upon complaint, due notice, and hearing, shall find that a sheriff is not faithfully or efficiently performing any duty imposed upon the sheriff by law, the governor may remove such sheriff from office and appoint another sheriff to serve for the remainder of the term for which such removed sheriff was elected. And that is in Article 9, Section 10 of the Constitution. This bill purports to change the Constitution by removing the authority of the governor to receive complaints and granting that authority to the Superior Court. The bill, however, does not allow or require the Superior Court to make a finding on the merits of the matter, but instead, the court is supposed to forward the case back to the governor. As drafted, it is unclear what role the Superior Court would have in this type of proceeding, and the need for the court to be involved is also not clear, especially given the ability of the executive branch to conduct administrative hearings and the unambiguous constitutional language. We would be happy to work with Senator Keim, the Maine Sheriff's Association, and any other proponents of this bill, in addition to the Attorney General's office, to discuss any impediments the proponents see in the current process and possible ways to move forward. Thank you so much for your time. I would be happy to try to answer your questions.
Thank you, Ms. Finn. Are there any questions for Ms. Finn? I do think, oh, go ahead, Representative Matlack. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I hit something on the way by, so I had to undo that first. I'm sorry. Do you have questions with regard to the judicial branch's ability to do what is requested, or is it just the mechanics of how this should happen?
We have great concerns about the Superior Court making the findings that are outlined in the bill. Given that the plain language of the Constitution gives the authority for notice and hearing and the other due process concerns to the executive branch, we feel that there are separation of powers as well as constitutional concerns with the bill as it is currently drafted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I think it will be helpful. Oh, Representative Copeland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. If that all gets worked out, I have a question on the process. Would it be possible to put this in a process similar to a protective order so that things can happen quickly? If it gets that far?
Here's a couple of concerns. First, I don't think these hearings or even the findings should reside with the judicial branch, that those would be more appropriate with the executive branch, with the assistance of the Attorney General's office. I actually have spoken to the Attorney General about this, and I believe that they may be working on some language that would be perhaps of interest and assistance to this committee. That is probably the more appropriate route for this. In terms of priority scheduling, the courts would like to remain the primary decider of what gets priority scheduling. Of course, we have many, many, many urgent matters that are heard. Protective orders are among those, criminal matters, mental health commitments and the like. And generally the courts are the best judges of what should be scheduled and when. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think it will be helpful, Ms. Finn, if you can participate in the work session.
Absolutely. I'll plan to be there.
And also if there are questions in the interim, we can send them to you and our analysts to discuss.
Thank you.
I think the major issue that the sponsor's trying to seek, though, is to create this leave of absence thing so there's no destruction of evidence. And so there's no obstruction of justice type thing. That's probably one of the key elements of the bill. So I'm hopeful that we can work out something in a work session that will make sense legally. Is there anyone, I don't have anyone else on my list for this bill to speak. Cheryl, is there anyone else?
Nobody that I know of, no.
Okay, so the next is a public hearing on LD 462. Representative Matlack, can you take over the chair responsibilities? I have to jump on another meeting for about 20 minutes.
Certainly.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome, Representative Sylvester. You are up next to talk to us about LD 462. So I leave it to you to explain to us about your bill.
Thank you very much, Representative Matlock and Senator Baldacci in absentia. I want to apologize. I do not have formal testimony for you. For whatever reason, my legislative email sent me a notice of my Zoom link on Friday, but that was the first time that I had seen this, that this bill was coming, that I was going to be here. And so my clerk just shook me down and said, you better get over there. And so here I am. But I'll finish up my testimony and get it ready to send to you as soon as my hearings are done today.
Okay.
Thank you for hearing this bill. It's really LD 462, an act to re-examine the relationship among county, municipal, and state governments. So what does this bill do? It's very simple. As you can see, what I am asking for is a study to examine how does Maine use state government? Could we use it better? And how do other states use county government as a tool and in many cases as a liaison between municipal government and state government? Why did I bring this bill forward? Over the summer, as you know, we had, and in the spring, we had a pretty involved unemployment process where we were trying to figure out why workers were not receiving claims, and there was a lot of data that I wanted to receive that neither the state nor the municipalities collect. In examining bills, in researching my own bills, I often find data from other states, and I ask myself the question, why don't we have this data that other states are collecting? And in talking to legislators from other states and in researching how that data is often broken out, it is often broken out at the county level, collecting data on workers, data on health outcomes, data on mortality rates and those sorts of things that are able to happen on a regional basis in a more efficient way with resources that neither municipalities may have, maybe the big ones do, but not the small ones, or that is so overwhelming that the state is not able to collect the data in an efficient manner for whatever reason. And so that is why I'm bringing this bill forward, is to present this idea to you about whether or not this is a study that needs to happen, whether this is the right time to do it, but to sort of bring this idea forward that county government, it seems to me, could be a linchpin, and not only in the collection of data, but also perhaps delivery of services in a way that it is not presently doing. As I examined the functions of county government, I saw that it was very distinct functions that often didn't relate to one another, and would seem to beg the historical question of why this function and not some other function. And so that seemed to me worth studying. And that is, in a nutshell, what I am trying to do here with LD 462. And I will certainly have my testimony into you by the end of the day.
Thank you very much, sir. Does anybody have any questions for Representative Sylvester on this bill? I do, as somebody who has looked at county government over the last couple of decades, and I was on my county budget committee. I have done other work with the county. In Knox County is my county. The counties are in the state of Maine are almost clerical in nature. They provide services for the state itself, And it's up to the individual counties as of now to take on greater responsibilities. Now, I know that in Cumberland County, they have some public health pieces of government that they handle. They have a civic center. They have, I believe what I heard was they also have like assessing. And so would it be up to the individual counties to do this? Or would you be looking to have sort of a state recommendation of what kind of tasks and responsibilities counties should be taking on as we move forward?
Thank you for that question, Representative Matlock. And I think that your expertise is why you are the chair of this committee, and perhaps why I'm over in labor. And I think that right now, as you correctly state, each county sort of makes up its own mind about what it wants to focus on and what services it wants to provide and what it wants to seek from the state or not. And to me, it seems that in the things that I'm interested in, collection of data and sort of a uniform nature of services, that it would be worthwhile bringing the counties and other stakeholders together to wonder what what could happen with hospitals and with health systems, and with if the data was uniform across the state, and and there was a relationship going from state to county, but also county to municipal in order to try to achieve those goals. And I am certain goals and needs that counties have or that municipalities have that I have not even begun to fathom that might come out in such a study and come out as a series of recommendations that would later be turned into LDs perhaps by somebody. So that's so that is really my thought process on that. It's a simple, perhaps naive question that I'm posing to you, and I thank you for hearing it.
Oh, you're most welcome. Does anybody else have a question for Representative Sylvester? I'm drawing up the list of other folk who are available to chat with us. If there are no other questions, thank you. Representative Copeland, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this bill could potentially, if the research is a good thing, it's always good to have information. But if this were to be implemented, I'm concerned about the counties having the staff and the expertise. Certainly in York County, it's big enough, and Cumberland County, but what about some of the small counties? Is this a bigger burden and more costly for them? I'm asking. Thanks.
I appreciate that question, Representative Copeland, and I think that one of the wonderful things about the present moment that we live in is the ability to get together in venues such as this and save the travel that might have happened with meetings such as this that would have dragged everybody to Augusta from Aroostook or from York. And I think that one of there's many different ways that this could be done. The reviser ended up putting it as a concept draft because I did not feel I had the expertise in your committee. In my committee, I would have two choices as chair. I would say, well, this could be a study group, that like a committee group that we pull together, kind of bringing stakeholders together to see if there's something more here that they want to bring forwards. Or it could be a formal board. It could be a formal group through the state where you would list each of the members that you wanted to have on it. In my mind, it would be a representative of each county, or it would be and other stakeholders from the various departments. But it might be worthwhile bringing together a group of folks to come up with some recommendations in a more informal basis to do that. And I think counties could probably decide to opt into such a group or not as their resources. But I have heard from many counties who were interested in what the idea was behind this, and and are certainly looking to have, many of the counties anyway, to have a better relationship with the state and to do more.
Thank you, Representative Sylvester. I think as a concept, it's a good one. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions for Representative Sylvester? There being none, thank you very much, sir. We'll give you to the end of the day to get your homework in.
I appreciate that. I'm going to find the dog that ate it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
You too, sir. So we have Greg Zinser from York County to come and talk with us. Is Mr. Zinser here? Yes, he is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Matlock. Good morning, everybody. My name is Greg Zinser, and I'm the county manager here in York County. And so I'm here providing testimony in support of LD 462, an act to re-examine the relationship among county, municipal, and state governments. York County continues to prove that services can effectively be offered at the regional level. With careful consideration and support of our communities, we have expanded into regional services with the addition of our Fire Service Administrator's Office, the Lehman Way Recovery Center, and most recently, the establishment of the first mass vaccination site in York County, located in the city of Sanford. We currently employ an incident management team made up of city and town personnel capable of mounting a large-scale response to critical incidents here in the county. As this comfort of county-level services increases, it is only natural to examine additional relationships that can be expanded. As counties, we are not looking for a power grab. Rather, we are looking to be part of a dialogue with the state for services that might better be addressed at the regional level in a more efficient and effective manner. In the past, we have suggested such services like inspections and public health might be better handled at a regional level. These and other potential services are a natural fit for county government. We look forward to the potential discussion and collaboration between all levels of government. And I will be free to answer any questions. And I'll add that in the past, we have submitted in conjunction with other counties, Cumberland County, bills that have been geared towards the delivery of public health services. We have talked about other services here in the county, LD 166 for multiple years ago, allowing an expanded role for paramedics. Each county has their own wants, needs, and issues and capabilities to respond to increased level of service demands within our jurisdictional boundaries. And so I think giving counties the ability for home rule is really an essential part of the conversation that needs to come up. So I want to thank you very much for this opportunity to speak with you, and I'm happy to, again, to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions for Mr. Zins? Mr. Zinser. Donna, Representative Dorr, please.
Thank you, Representative Matlack. Mr. Zinser, could explain to me or give me an example of what you mean by home rule?
Well, Representative Dorr, right now, references were made earlier to counties being clerical in nature. I would dispute that characterization, but I'll add that county governments tend to be a creature of statute. And what that means is we're only allowed to do what the statute explicitly allows us to do. So in situations where there's a desire among a lot of the smaller towns down here to look at ways to regionalize some services, you know, that led us to the creation of a new position, a chief fire administrator, to advise and work with all of the various small towns down here with a fully credentialed fire chief on board. And so just a particular item, giving you one example, we really can't grow that particular department beyond that. I'm not saying we would even want to, but the statute doesn't allow us to really do a lot of these items. And even if we have a charter, which the law allows us to do a charter, it still is somewhat limiting in the services that we can do. For example, if a town under home rule authority wants to establish some type of new department, they can do that. County governments lack that authority. So home rule is really adding a definition for home rule for counties is really, in our view, a very preferable approach.
Thank you.
And my apologies for being glib about saying clerical, but above and beyond the sheriff and the jail, most of the responsibilities at the county level are keeping track of deeds, probate, and so forth. So they are a creature of the state. And you're right, saying it's that the statutes dictate what they do. Representative Greenwood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think in preparing for the workshop, I would like to ask our analyst if she could bring up the county statutes that reference county government, because counties do have the ability in statute to regionalize services. There is already a vehicle in place for that. I mean, I was a commissioner for 8 years, so I'm familiar with that process, but it's so to say that there's no method to do that already, I think that's a misstatement.
Thank you. I'm sure Lynn has put that on her list too. Senator Claxton. I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
You're
I'm
welcome.
struck by the tension between home rule, the concept, and standardizing behaviors across counties. So I think that's going to be an issue that I need to better understand how much flexibility there is in the current statutes and a good reason to establish a work committee.
Thank you. Any further questions for the county administrator? Representative Greenwood, are you back? Are you? Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your input.
Thank you.
And now we move along to, let's see. We have Rebecca Graham from the Maine Municipal Association who is opposed to this bill. Ms. Graham, welcome to the committee again.
Thank you, Representative Matlack and distinguished members of the State and Local Government Committee. My name is Rebecca Graham, and I am testifying in opposition to LD 462 at the direction of MMA's 70-member Legislative Policy Committee. Municipal officials are strongly opposed to several of the sentiments that are expressed in the bill's statement of intent, and it was only this language that they had to base that assessment on, though I'm not sure that what I've heard in the committee would reassure them in any way so far. But given the gravity of that intended legislation, the lack of language does seem to be a problem, and the committee might want to consider a secondary hearing once there is language that has been established for them to better make a vet for and position of. It's important for municipal officials that this committee understand the context in which our systems of government have been created historically. And additionally, why Maine's context is very different from our New England neighbors, many of which have abolished county government entirely. And additionally, why a comparison against any Southern or Western states would also be problematic. And I outlay in my written testimony kind of that historical context, the reasons why county government was established and why it is a creature of statute and of the state, and why municipal government was established. Municipal government is created for and by the people that pay directly for those services. And that's why home rule is very important, because those people have direct input. They are paying for those services and they have a direct proportional ability to make that decision. It's not that case. They do not have the same input, though they pay for county services. They don't have that same level of control, input, or even ability to veto a lot of the things that happen at the county level. However, even given the historic context, both of those forms of government still continue in that same way today. And as you have already pointed out, not all of the 16 counties are created equal. County government does have the ability to take on more responsibility and build relationships with their paying communities. However, that requires that relationship building piece. And where that has worked well and been led well, those counties have assumed extra duties. Some counties work as regional leaders. They provide services that would normally be at the municipal level for things like harbor masters and animal control officers, as well as expanded services like you had heard in York County as well. Where it doesn't work well, municipalities join together in regional organizations, or they lean more on their regional organizations. And regional organizations that don't serve the interest of their members don't survive. Municipal leadership that doesn't serve the interest of that community or behaves with impunity are removed from their positions immediately. Counties persist, and you've been addressing some of those issues today. It's for these reasons that municipal officials feel that the legislation is framed in an unpalatable way and would ask that you oppose 462 without improving the checks and balances or agency for the people who actually pay for those services. Expansion of their duties seems a little bit unacceptable until or unless it is fully funded duties and controlled entirely by the state. So legislation that's framed in a way that really isn't agnostic to the assessment of all of those levels of government by its construction should also be called into question, and we would ask that the committee vote ought not to pass.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Ms. Graham from MMA? Representative Toole, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I apologize for being out for a little bit, but to present a bill. So, Ms. Graham, I want to thank you for presenting today. And I was wondering if you could explain whether there would be, do you see a constitutional issue with the Home Rule Authority? I mean, in other words, Home Rule Authority is in the Constitution for municipalities, but is it in the Constitution for counties?
No, we don't believe that it is. Home rule is in the Constitution for municipalities because the people who directly have immediate power over them are the citizens. It's
Right.
It's not a 4-year period. It could be in an immediate period. They have the ability to control that.
So legislation like this could be unconstitutional. Is that possible?
Oh, I this particular, as it's just posing a study, I don't think would pose any sort of constitutional.
Oh, okay. And I apologize because I was, as I say, I was in and out. So thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any further questions, Representative? Any further questions from the committee for Ms. Graham? There being none, thank you, Ms. Graham, for coming to speak with us today. We have one more speaker on this bill. Mr. Kennedy from Cumberland County is speaking neither for nor against. Mr. Kennedy?
Thank you, and I apologize, Madam Chair. I'm speaking for. I may have when I was signing up to speak.
Okay.
Cumberland County speaking in favor of LD 462. Thank you, Representative Matlack and members of the committee. My name is Travis Kennedy. I'm the Director of Public Affairs for Cumberland County Government. In recent years, Cumberland County has made progress in improving that services can be efficiently and effectively delivered at a regional level, oftentimes at a higher quality output. Slowly, and with the participation and encouragement of our communities, we've introduced and grown regional services that give the towns and cities in Cumberland County access to high quality staff and top of the line technology that they might not have been able to take advantage of on their own through a cost-effective model that reduces the pressure on municipal budgets. Cumberland County's regional emergency communications and assessing programs continue to grow each year. In 2019, we added high-level human resources consulting to our offerings, a service that's proven invaluable to several towns that have saved time and money responding to complex HR issues. The county continues to look for ways that we can consolidate and offer new services that our towns are asking for, exploring regional solutions to projects as wide-ranging as broadband expansion and crisis response teams. As this comfort level with countywide service delivery continues to grow, we think it's the ideal time to consider whether any state services may be ripe for a regional approach as well. Cumberland County's interest in this bill is in its potential for mutual benefit between the state, the counties, the towns, and ultimately the constituents that we're all committed to serve. We do not expect or want any legislation regarding a shift in services to act as a power grab for county government. It's our hope that the bill will open a dialogue between the state and willing counties in identifying services that may pose a logistical challenge for the state to carry out, and that the counties can prove they would be able to perform efficiently, effectively, and permanently. In concept, Cumberland County could be home to some state services like inspections and general public health, wherein our constituents are heavy end users for a constricted statewide service. And by taking over responsibility within our borders, we could relieve pressure on the state or other counties to serve the rest of their population. At the same time, these local offers could establish a more these local officers could establish a more permanent relationship and regular schedule for our area businesses. But today, I don't know if that's true. The only way to find out is to do the research, and we're excited by the possibility of exploring these options. We think there's room to work together in ways that are beneficial to everyone. Thank you for your time today and for your consideration of this very important issue. We hope that this legislation spawns a wide-ranging discussion on the benefits of regionalization, not just from the bottom up between municipalities and counties, but from the top down between the state and counties as well. I'm happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. Representative Greenwood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for Mr. Kennedy. In your particular county, you referenced dispatching. Is that done under tax levy or is that under a fee for service?
That is a fee for service. Well, you know what? I want to be positive that's correct, Representative. Let me get the right answer and get back to you.
Yeah, I guess my point I was trying to make was counties have the ability to do this already under regionalized programs. When I was a commissioner in Androscoggin, we had we had regionalized programs, but it was an opt-in, buy-in, not done under tax levy, which is currently allowed.
Right. Yeah, and that's the construction of a lot of our services. The assessing program is a perfect example. It's a fee for service, and the counties that are the towns that choose to participate do so, and the ones that don't aren't paying for it. So my understanding of Representative Sylvester's bill is that the purpose of the committee that you would form is to investigate whether there are opportunities for state level services to be performed at the county level instead. We in Cumberland County are relatively satisfied with the model that we have to regionalize services among our towns because it does require buy-in. We don't push services on our towns or new services that they haven't asked for. Ultimately, we need them to come to us and say, here's something that we need. And so I think that my read of Representative Sylvester's proposal is to establish the same relationship with the state. What are things that the state is doing statewide that maybe they have capacity problems with, or that might be more efficiently and permanently managed locally? We're certainly, if Cumberland County were to be invited to participate in that committee, we would be open to discussing top down and bottom up as far as regionalization options go. But we've certainly, and I know York County is similar, had great experience developing regional programs in concert with our towns and developing a model for them to pay for them.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions for Mr. Kennedy? There being none, I believe that is the last person we are scheduled to hear from today. So I will close this public hearing. Thank you all for participating. Senator Baldacci, I see that you're back. Would you like to lead for the next one, which is a workshop that we have scheduled for today?
Yes, that would be great. Hold on for just a second. Can we take just a 5-minute break? Maybe everybody stand up and stretch and then come right back to this. Some people might, yeah. So we'll take a 5-minute break, Representative Matlack.
Sure, and we'll stay on here and just remember to mute your mics.
Yeah.
Senator Baldacci. Before we begin the work session, perhaps Lynn could give us a quick tutorial about how we are going to declutter our inboxes and find the testimony for the bills that are scheduled for this committee.
Sure. That's there's always time for a decluttering debriefing.
What are we decluttering and debriefing? I'm sorry, my headphones were off.
Yes, we're gonna have a decluttering debriefing from Lynn on our emails.
I got you. Oh, yes.
Shall I start? Shall I start now, Mr. Chair? Or wait a second.
One more minute.
I believe we are all back. Senator Claxton had to,
That's correct.
but the rest of us are here.
Yeah, go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So hello, SLG committee. You may or may not have heard, but IT has launched as of this morning a new way. They have created an electronic file for you. So instead of having the paper files, there's a way for you to get everything related to a bill all in one place electronically. And I believe you will no longer be receiving emails with the testimony that has been flooding your inboxes lately. So I'm going to share. There's two things that are helpful to know. And I'm going to send you some written instructions that another analyst created so that if you forget how to get here, those instructions will help you. So I'm on the committee webpage, the State and Local Government Committee webpage. So the first thing that I want to show you is on the day of a public hearing. So I'm on the page for, this is the first front page of the State and Local Government. You'll see how it says public hearings, work sessions, and here's today's date. If you click on this little piece of paper, you will go to a page that has the three LDs, right? You see 193, 375, 462. You will also find on this page, on the day of the public hearing, the testimony that has been submitted. So you should be seeing Julia Finn, Jeffrey Kerr, and if you want to, in the moment, look at that person's testimony, you just click on this other little piece of paper. Is it big enough for you at all to see that little piece of paper? Okay, so if you click on that, it should take you to the testimony. So just like if you had a file in front of you, you can find on the day of the public hearing all the testimony for the bills being heard. So that's for on the day of the public hearing, you can go find this. Then, of course, after the public hearing, I'm going back, hopefully, to the main page. So it's after the public hearing and you don't remember what day the public hearing was, you come to our page, you go to committee materials. You go to committee material, meeting materials by LD, and it has all the bills that have come before our committee. So let's say you want to know what happened in 193. You click and you get this new fancy link here. If you click on that, you will get the testimony. And if I've submitted a bill analysis, it will appear in here. If I have uploaded the current statute, which those of you from last session might remember, I would hand out orange pieces of paper, like this is the current law that's going to be changed. All of that will appear on this page, bill analysis, current statutes, testimony, any materials that perhaps like the map of Oxford, the mountains in Oxford County that you just heard about. All of that material will be posted on this page So you have, in effect, an electronic file. Obviously, since it just was launched this morning at 8, there's not a lot of other stuff up there except for the testimony. And as I said, I will send you instructions so that you can hopefully find it on your own if you didn't understand all the clicks I just did.
Okay. Quick question.
Yes.
Will this be updated? Because I've noticed that I receive emails post public hearing from individuals, which is great. But do you know whether there is the potential for those pieces of testimony to link to the individual bills also?
Yes. Any testimony that's formally submitted through the portal will get uploaded onto that. I believe the law library is doing that. It's not instantaneous, but it's pretty quick.
Representative Tool.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm curious, given that this is new, so bills that we had last week, are they fully populated yet? I haven't looked, I'll confess, but so in other words, is the back catalog of stuff that I spent putting into a binder this weekend for my own reference, is that stuff going to be up there at some point, or is it up there now, or what's the deal there?
It's not up there now. It's going to be updated. So the decision was made that everything going forward, we will all, this is LIO, Law Library, OPLA, we will try and get everything as quickly as possible for everything going forward. The back stuff that's already happened, I think they're going to do that as time permits. But I think they're more focused on moving forward and not the prior stuff.
Okay.
Thanks. That's good to know. So
Yeah, I like the new format. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Cheryl. Cheryl, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that LD 379, which is what Lynn's going to talk about next, does have the testimonies listed there if you wanted to go through and read those testimonies or review anything. They are there on the week befores.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Lynn on this issue? Okay. Seeing none, I think we have a quorum to restart. I am Joe Baldacci. I represent State Senate District 9, which is the city of Bangor in the town of Herman. And I'll be presiding over this work session of the Joint Standing Committee on State and Local Government. The format is new to all of us, and we expect that there will be unforeseen glitches and mistakes, so please be patient. We are doing our best, and we all learn as we go along and hopefully improving along the way. The purpose of this meeting is for the committee to receive information from staff and others in order for members to consider the legislative proposals before them and make recommendations or reports to the legislature. Only committee members, the committee analysts, and those specifically invited to attend will be participating in this work session using Zoom. For members of the public wishing to observe this meeting, it is being live streamed on the committee's YouTube channel and will also be recorded for viewing after this meeting is concluded. We are also broadcasting the audio of this meeting on the legislature's website, legislature.maine.gov. The YouTube live stream of this meeting, which is accessible to the public, begins at the scheduled start time for the work session and will remain on until the end of the day's work. If your video or audio is on, even if the committee is not then an active session or is on break, the public can see or hear you. Please remember to mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Please check to be sure that your name appears correctly on the Zoom screen. This is a public meeting. I must remind you that while we are meeting, discussion must happen on screen and not by way of Zoom chat. You may use the chat to request to speak or to indicate that you are having a technical issue or to indicate that you are momentarily stepping away from the screen. However, again, you are not to use the chat feature for substantive discussions. If you are having technical difficulties, please contact the committee clerk or the Legislative Information Technology Office. Members will speak with leave of the chair. Materials will be provided electronically for this meeting, either through screen share, email, or posted on the committee materials page before the meeting or soon thereafter. When it comes time for the committee to vote, we must have a quorum present, at least 7 members, including a senator. In order to be counted as present, your identity must be visually verifiable on the Zoom screen. I will now call on the members to introduce themselves, starting with Representative Sean Paulus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Sean Paulus. I represent House District 52, which is all the city of Benton.
Okay. If you could turn your volume up a little bit, Representative Paulus, that would be good. Thank you. Representative Walter Reisman.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Representative Walter Reisman of District 69, Bridgeton, Harrison, and Denmark, and encompasses 2 counties, Cumberland and Oxford.
Thank you. Representative Randall Greenwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Randall Greenwood, House District 82, Litchfield, Monmouth, and my hometown of Wales in both Androscoggin and Kennebec counties.
Representative Francis Head. Representative, yeah, there you go.
I'm Representative Francis Head. My district is 117. It's parts of Oxford County and Franklin.
Senator Kimberly Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Kimberly Rosen, Senate District 8. I have 16 towns in Hancock County and Penobscot County, including the city of Brewer.
Great. Representative William Toole.
Good morning again, Mr. Chair. I'm Will Toole. I represent the Machias area plus Lubec and Eastport.
Great. Thank you. Representative Lynn Copeland.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Lynn Copeland, and I represent House District 14, which is downtown and coastal Saco. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Mark Bryant.
Thank you, Senator. I'm Mark Bryant. I represent House District 24 out of the town of Wyndham. Welcome.
Thank you. Representative Donna Dorr.
Good morning. I'm Representative Donna Dorr. I represent a portion of the city of Augusta.
Thank you. Okay, Representative Ann Matlack, my co-chair.
Good morning again. I am Ann Matlack. I represent House District 92, which includes the communities of Cushing, Thomaston, South Thomaston, St. George, Matinicus, Creehaven, and the Muscle Ridge Islands.
Thank you. Okay, so our analyst, Lynn Caswell, we only have one item for the work session, and that's regarding establishing a Maine Cemetery Commission. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So this is the work session for LD 379, which is an act to establish the Maine State Cemetery Commission. I will screen share in a moment what my bill analysis was. This bill establishes what is to be called the Maine State Cemetery Commission to facilitate and identify and preserve burying grounds and cemeteries located throughout the state of Maine. The sponsor was Senator Miramont, and I believe he is in the waiting area if you would like to hear from him. The main proponent or the speaker for the main proponents for this bill was Helen Shaw and several others, and Ms. Shaw is also in the waiting area if you have questions for her. As I said, there were several people who testified in favor of this bill. The Maine Funeral Directors Association had 2 people, the Owl's Head Cemetery Committee, the state president from the Maine State Society, Sons of the American Revolution testified. There were 2 opponents. One was Stephen Barrow, who was the superintendent of the Mount Hope Cemetery Corporation, and also a gentleman named Dexter Lee. And then the Secretary of State's office testified neither for nor against. Everyone who testified proposed a variety of amendments. Some of them they agreed to, some of them were just 1 or 2 people. I'm going to screen share a list of all the proposed amendments in a minute. I just want to mention the one comment of potential note was the comment in the opposition from Mr. Burrell, and that was about having a funeral director as a member on this commission. So there were 8 members on the commission. 2 are from an association about preservation of cemeteries. 2 would represent cemetery directors, and 1 from a municipality, 1 representing town clerks, and 1 from the statewide association of funeral directors. And the comment was that funeral directors might have a conflict of interest with a commission that was focused on cemeteries. And then, of course, the director of the Bureau of Maine Veterans Services was also a member on this committee. And then there were optional members. The commission primary responsibilities are to educate and provide information to both municipalities and property owners. The problem I think that they mentioned that they wanted to solve was that municipalities and individuals do not always understand their obligations when it comes to maintaining an ancient cemetery and burying ground or a veteran cemetery and burying ground. So lack of understanding on their obligations, and property owners' lack of understanding of the descendants' rights. So descendants of an ancient burying ground have the right to cross private property to go to a particular, to visit the, basically think of a family plot that was created in the 1800s that now may be landlocked and owned by someone else. So the purpose seems to be to help municipalities and property owners with education. I'm going to now screen share and just walk briefly through the various proposed amendments. And it's called Potential Issues and Technical Problems, but the title doesn't mean that. So hopefully you can all see what the amendments that were suggested. One mentioned that there is an even number of members on this commission, which could lead to tie vote situations. The Secretary of State and others, and including Helen Shaw, who was one of the proponents, talked about how there's some missing details that perhaps could be filled in, such as what is the term of office for the members? How are vacancies filled? Do you want to have initial staggered terms so that not everyone is, has to, you don't have to find 8 new members every 2 years. You find, 2 1 year, 2 the next year, staggering terms. Do you want to write into the law how a chair is determined? There was several people who talked about the obligations in the bill. The duties of the commission are that the cemetery commission may do several things. And the proponent and others recommended that instead of saying the cemetery commission may do certain things, the cemetery commission shall do certain things. Number 7, which I mentioned before, was the potential conflict of interest a funeral director might have. There were comments about the language in the bill that identified the member entities, and they used the language of the bill used very generic terms. There was some testimony that should be changed to very specific terms, specific entities. On this one, I will note that the revisor's office policy is you don't identify specific entities because if this law exists for 50 years, those entities may be replaced or their names might be changed, but there were several comments on that. One comment was that this seems to be a committee that's focused on the preservation. So perhaps the word preservation could be added to the title so it's clearer what the focus of the commission was. And then there was testimony and comments by members that perhaps a member from a historical society could be invited to be a member on this cemetery commission. And I will note that a preliminary fiscal impact statement was provided. Again, this is preliminary, so if you amend, it might change, but the preliminary fiscal note was that this does not have a fiscal impact. So those are the proposed amendments. And as I said, the sponsor, Senator Miramont, is here, as well as Ms. Shaw, who members of this committee who've been on state and local before will know very well. And I can take this down or leave it up at the committee's leisure.
Well, why don't you leave it up for right now? Representative Toole?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So looking at this list, I think Lynn has done a great job of hitting a bunch of the technical, I hate the word issues in this case, because I think it's not really issues, but I think certainly myself, I'm sensitive to the fact that we need to have an odd number of members. And Lynn knows the history of that, as do other members. I don't think we want to get in the situation where we have an even number of members on a board or a commission. But I think a lot of these, such as the terms of office, the method to fill a vacancy, staggered terms, the chair, I think things like that, I think we could solve those issues by amending the bill to say that the commission shall adopt bylaws with those specific things. I know that's a very technical way of saying it, but you get where I'm getting at. The commission shall adopt bylaws by, I don't know, we throw in a date of a year within the next year, by January 1st, 2022, and it addresses all of those type of housekeeping issues. And then we're not getting down in the weeds as to how they're going to run their commission. That's really not so much our thing. I guess the adding a member from the historical societies, I mean, if people like that idea, I mean, it's an interesting idea. I don't have a problem with it, but I do have a concern that I don't think there's necessarily enough municipal representation. So I would think we would want to see folks from smaller towns. I'd like to have it clear that there are going to be more folks from smaller towns where the issues are bigger. I'd like to see a member for that, but I also know that we don't want to see this spiral out of control into 12 or 11 or 13 or 15 members either. So I don't know what people's thoughts are on that topic, but that's just my initial thoughts from looking at this.
Okay, thank you. Representative Matlack?
Yes, and maybe I zoned out when it went by, and I apologize, Lynn, if I did. But was there a question about who is going to be doing the appointing of these members to this commission?
You actually are very right. And there was a question about who was going to be doing the appointments. And I'm looking at the bill. Yes, that was a question. That's a very big question that I left out of my analysis. Who is going to be doing the appointments?
Right, because whoever would be doing the appointment would determine some of the membership, just going in at the beginning. Because if we're going to leave to the commission, and I like leaving a lot of stuff to the commission to determine the nature of it. Yeah, it would be interesting. I'd like to know who's going to be setting it up to begin with, and if they will be abiding by a recommendation or they would be setting up a recommendation of who the membership actually is, whether funeral directors do have a conflict of interest, whether there are other membership opportunities that are already listed that are acceptable, or there are others. So it'd be interesting. Who do we want to have set this up?
Can I, one of the thing, Lynn, in terms of who has control over public lands or public, is there any particular jurisdiction that this might fit under in terms of a department?
Well, that's a good question, Mr. Chair. I will say that the Bureau of Maine Veterans Services was identified as a member on this commission because a lot of the grounds, that the burying grounds and cemeteries, contain veterans. So they were, they're permanent member number H. I believe the Department of Environmental Protection has oversight in some respects of public burying grounds. It's not a clear, this is definitely HHS. So that's a good question. I would say either DEP or Maine Veterans Services, which, as I said, was listed in the bill.
I mean, my inclination would be to have the commissioner of a department appoint the members. I don't think this has to be a gubernatorial appointment. I agree with Representative Toole that it should be an odd number. And I think if it was with a commissioner, it would make sense. And if we can have points 2, 3, 4, 5 dealt with by having the committee, once it's formed, publish its bylaws, that would be helpful. One other point I'd like to see is that we include a member of the indigenous community, or Native Americans, because obviously, I think Representative Matlack has brought up this point in the past, but I think that there should be a specific member of our Native American community that should be included with this. Representative Copeland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's a great idea to include the indigenous folks. Representative Toole had some really good ideas about doing this, and I like the idea of bylaws. My concern with that would be legal fees to draft them. And we don't have a fiscal note on this one. I don't know if MMA could help with it, or whether the Attorney General's office, or, you know, we don't want to put unfunded mandates on these nice volunteers.
That's a good point. Representative Greenwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I'm trying to find out, I think a lot of these questions could be answered by, you know, possibly Helen Shaw, who has a wealth of knowledge on this matter, and I don't see her in, and I don't know if there's a reason why she's not in.
Cheryl, can you bring in, I was gonna, Senator Merrimont and Helen Shaw, and whoever else is there for the work session? Representative Greenwood, did you want to continue asking?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes. I guess I would really like some more thought process on removing the funeral director as a member. I know as a member of the Cemetery Association that I deal with, you know, we frequently look to the funeral directors for some guidance and knowledge. This is the field in which they're directly working in.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm concerned by the prospect of removing funeral directors as members from this commission.
Right. You know, we could always, you know, make sure it gets, that the same person doesn't get appointed all the time, or have a term limit so that other funeral home directors can get a chance at it. But yeah, I think you got a good point there. Did you have anything else, Representative Greenwood?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a statewide association, so I think that, you know, would be something that their association would appoint a nominee.
Yeah.
You know, and I think almost all of the groups listed here, there are statewide associations. So, I mean, I don't think we need to get hung up on the semantics of, you know, who appoints. because I think all of these groups have statewide representation. And I
Okay,
think Helen Shaw could probably speak to that.
okay. Representative Tool?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would say, I do think probably Representative Greenwood is correct that a lot of these groups do have statewide agencies, but there does need to be, typically with these type of things, these agencies make recommendations to, whether it be the president of the Senate or the governor or whomever. I like your idea of the commissioner, and I do like your idea of it going to Bureau of Veteran Services or whatever that is, that office is. I like the idea of it going there, so I would make that recommendation that it go there, and that he accept the recommendations of the various entities that we ultimately agree the membership should be. I think it's good for us to pick the membership, the composition of it, but once that membership has been selected, I think they can come up with their own bylaws. We should be stating that they have to come up with them within a year. And I would like Ms. Shaw to weigh in on that to see if that's something she and others would be willing to work on a volunteer basis, because I don't see where we should get bogged down in we can't, as many commissions as there are in the state, if we're writing bylaws for all of them, that's all we're going to be doing is writing bylaws. So I just think that it's really important that we give them the ability to do that and trust that they can do it, and do so pro bono, for lack of a better term, and go from there. And I would like to get Ms. Shaw's thoughts on that as well. And to the part about the funeral director, I absolutely agree that I don't see a conflict of interest there. I've been struggling to find one. And I think they have a lot of knowledge and resources that the commission would need. So I think it would be good to leave them in.
Okay, Ms. Shaw, if you could weigh in, I don't know if you want to make any comments now or.
I would, if I may, Senator.
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you. Senator Baldacci, Representative Matlack, and members of the committee. No objection to having the director of the Bureau of Maine Veteran Services sort of bring us all together. This entire idea originally came from Peter Ogden, who held that position several years ago. In terms of appointment, the associations, what I see is the associations would select the members, and that then they would be appointed possibly by the governor or some other authority. In terms of the funeral directors, I did get a response from one of my ad hoc committee members, Hugh McMaster, who works for a major cemetery and a memorial company in the southern part of the state. And he sees no problems with having the funeral directors in there. And I believe I heard, maybe it was Representative Toole mentioned, funeral directors are very, very familiar with cemeteries. They have a very interactive job with the community, with the cemeteries, with the cemetery associations. I also heard from another one of my committee members who's recommended that maybe a member of the Maine Association for Realtors be added to the committee, because this brings in the property owners. A lot of people do not understand that unless the cemetery is written into the deed, it does not pass to the new property owner. So you get a lot of problems there. I believe it was, I don't recall who it was, mentioned, Greenwood, I think it was, mentioned that under the permanent members, the statewide associations, in the original draft of the bill before it went to the revisor's office, it did specify Group A is actually the Maine Old Cemetery Association. Group B is the Maine Cemetery Association. Group C is the MMA. And Group D is the Statewide Association for the Town Clerks. And there was one, oh, no objection to having the Historical Society in there. I did send a note to Representative Copeland suggesting we had not really looked at that group because there are so many, but perhaps a member from the Maine Historical Society in Portland would be a good choice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Marymount.
Thank you, Senator and Representative Matlack. The only thing I was going to weigh in about was the appointments of the board, because that was asked of me, and I sent that along to your analyst, but not to Lynn. I'm sorry, you have two listed, and I sent it to the wrong person, so I apologize for that. My choice was, as a couple of my boards are, to be distributed between the governor, the House, and the Senate to make sure the best chance of getting a bipartisan commission were in place, but I believe a commissioner would probably do that anyway. So that's not a bad suggestion or anything. And anybody who can suggest one that's defensible about the best way to get a cross section of folks who have input. And the other would be to make sure that whoever is picked understands they need to attend, because I'm tired of not even reaching a quorum on boards and commissions so that we can't get any work done. But that's just an editorial, sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. Thank you. Representative Toole?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would agree with a lot of what Senator Marymount said. I think the one thing, certainly the Bureau of Veteran Services, if they're on board with sort of taking this in and doing the appointments or facilitating the appointments and bringing the group together, I think that would be a good thing. And yeah, I mean, I'm curious if Lynn is keeping track of how many members we're up to with a historical preservation, a real estate person, someone from the Wapanaki tribe. I mean, I've lost track of how many people we're up to, and I want to be sure that we stick with an odd number, but that we don't get so high that it's becoming a position where you need staff to actually manage and run the meetings and all of that business. So I guess I would ask Lynn, how many people are we up to?
Thank you, Representative Toole. I believe you're up to 11. So there are eight, and then there was the Historical Society, a representative of the Indigenous people, and the Realty Association. So I believe that you're up to 11, which, as you all know, is an odd number.
And that to me would be a sufficient number. I don't think if people want to add more folks to it, I say we give the commission the authority to create subcommittees with various other entities and say that the non-permanent members or the subcommittees may consist of these other things. So in other words, you
Is
could
is that a motion, Representative Toole?
Well, it's quite a few amendments. If Lynn has them all, then if Lynn could read them back, I would be happy to make a motion.
Representative Copeland, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Senator Marymount made a really good point. Having been on many commissions myself, a quorum is sometimes an issue. So perhaps putting something in there, and I'm just throwing this out there, saying that if you don't attend, 3 out of 6 in a row, that you're off.
Well, couldn't we put into the legislation that as part of their bylaws, they'll establish a procedure for quorums and for removing members who are unable to attend so many meetings or something. I mean, I'd let them work out the fine details, but we should include it in the legislation that that's our intent. That we
right,
expect.
thank you.
Thank
That's-
you. Let's see. So I think, does somebody want to put together those comments in a motion? I think well, let me throw this motion out, that we have odd number of voting members and that there be 11 based on what our discussion has been today and those we've added. Would there be a second for that motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I just interrupt?
Sure.
Would it be helpful if I laid out what I think the group, so that you have everything in one idea?
That's what I was waiting for, Lynn. Take it away.
Thank you. I try not to interrupt too much.
No, I want you to. Thank you.
Okay. So what I took is that 3 additional members. So this would be amending the current bill to add 3 additional members, a representative of the Maine Realty Association, a representative from the Historical Society, and you could specify or you could leave it. So Historical Society, Realtor Association, Indigenous, a provision that the commission has to create bylaws by January 1st of 2021. I would probably say, sorry, 2022. Thank you. Including, which would be including but not limited to, including terms of office, method of filling vacancies, establishing a chair. I would suggest, well, you didn't talk about initial staggered terms. I would suggest if the committee is in favor of initial staggered terms, that would be in the bill and not in a bylaw. So odd number of members, add 3, require bylaws by January 1st, 2022. You did not talk about the request to change the may to a shall. So you have 2 bylaws and 3 additional members are the things I think you've agreed to.
Right, I agree. Representative Matlack, you have your hand up? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. My hand up was I had my hand up for a different reason. So, with regard to may and shall, what were the implications of may and shall? I mean, could we just say that we should change from may to shall? Would that be okay to do? I mean, is it being prescriptive of the group of the new commission?
So the word shall would be prescriptive. The word may is usually the go-to, so it allows some wiggle room. But I believe that Ms. Shaw was one of the people who testified to change it to shall because, and she's here so she can correct me if I'm wrong, because it creates an obligation. If it says you commission shall do something, that means they have to do it.
Okay. Well, and I see it right here under the duties. The Cemetery Commission may, and perhaps if, am I still on mute? That we should change it to the Cemetery Commission shall. That would be one of the changes that we should be making. Is there another location, or is that the only one?
I think that was the only substantive one. Lynn, are you adding this to our list?
Yes, I have 3 additional members, bylaws, including 2, 3, and 5. Change the term to shall.
Right. Okay, Representative Reisman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is another location of the word may. It's under section 2, optional members. And I have a question about optional members, and that the question is whether they're temporary and whether they have voting power, optional members. It says it can be permanent members. They may, although permanent members will invite.
So the question is whether optional members have the same rights as the permanent members. And that the word may is also employed in that section 2.
Do we really need an optional membership paragraph? Or will that just cause more potential issues? I ask Senator Helen Shaw and Senator Marymount. Is that needed or?
May I speak, Senator?
Yes.
The optional members as specified, represent two groups which over the past 100 years or more have been deeply involved in cemetery preservation, recognition of veterans' graves, and so on. So that was why they were put in as possible members to be. The women's group has 3-year terms. We operate by administrations, so that if a member is invited from, if I'll say it, the main state organization, Daughters of the American Revolution, it would be for a 3-year term. The Sons of the American Revolution does not have set terms for its people. To backtrack quite briefly, I'm currently the parliamentarian for the state DAR, and I have a lot of background in writing bylaws. I would be appointed to the group, the commission.
Okay, no, that's good. So I think at least the line should be in that optional membership that however it's picked, that the total composition of the board remain an odd number.
Mhm.
Representative Copeland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I propose instead of optional members, how about associate members? That kind of gives them a real role, but they don't have a vote. So they can be a part of the conversation. But that's just an idea. And the other thing I wanted for our analyst is adding the word preservation into the title. I like that idea.
Well, the other concern I have about the optional membership is that, outside of the sons and daughters of the American Revolution and the veterans of foreign wars, you have a lot of, there are historical groups such as the Irish or other groups that came to that have histories they may want to honor. But I just so I get concerned about we favoring one group over the other. That's all. Representative Toole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too like the idea of adding preservation to the title. I think I'm agreeing with you about taking out the optional members, but calling it instead saying the commission shall establish a subcommittee and then list them in that way. So that way these optional members or associate members or whatever they're being called are a subcommittee. They're not permanent. The commission then has control over who's on it. It can change. There's flexibility. The commission can do all of that in their organization, and then we're not spending a lot of time getting hung up on it. So
I kind of like the flexibility of that, but to be honest with you, Lynn, you had your hand up too.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the topic of the optional members, the associate members, I just wanted to point out that if you remove it, that does not prohibit the commission from creating in its bylaws a way to have optional members. You absolutely can leave it in the statute. You could say, you could put in the statute, they can, they may, but if you take it out, I don't think it prevents the commission from creating subcommittees or inviting additional people. So
I think I like that approach only because I don't want to, I think it's better not only give them the flexibility, but I don't want to be seen to be favoring one group over another in terms of, because as Senator Marymount said, this is a nonpartisan issue. So I think it's important to give them the flexibility. I'm sure that there'll be a multitude of historical groups and groups representing different lineages that are going to be brought in and consulted. So I just don't, I'd prefer that they be, you know, we encourage them to consult a wide range of those historical groups, because there's a lot of history to uncover and to preserve. So, Representative Toole?
I would add that the whole discussion about may and shall under duties, if I'm reading the duties accurately, they're not, they're duties that they're not proposing to create any new legislation. Their duties, they're mostly recommendations such as, let me look here, advising and educating municipalities, advising and educating other folks, reviewing statutes, but again, they're not actually given any real, I mean, they're an advisory commission, so these should be their duties. So the shall in this case is relatively passive.
Right, right. Yeah. Lynn, do you want to go through that checklist?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have four amendments. One is to add 3 additional members. 2 is to require bylaws by a date certain. 3 is to add preservation into the title of the commission. And 4 is to remove the section on optional members. Oh, and 5, sorry, change may to shall in that one place.
Yep. Representative Copeland?
Yes, were we gonna put in, Senator Merrimont had brought up that topic, and did we agree on that? About, wait a minute, my brain just. What was that issue, Senator Merrimont? Do you remember? You had,
Is he still here?
yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the only thing I talked about was appointments and why I had suggested the split of the governor's office, president and the speaker, but then on to why members should understand the responsibility for attending.
Attendance, that was it. In the bylaws, we were gonna put something about that they should come up with some language about attendance.
Right. So did we address the appointment? Who's going to do the appointments? So let's do that one first. I mean, what about having the governor appoint the governor or the governor's the governor appointing it's going to be 11 members, so 6 or actually 5. Have the governor appoint 5 and then have the speaker of the House appoint 3 and the president of the Senate appoint 3. Is that something does that fly with people, or you want something different? No, I see some agreements. Okay. Representative Matlack, you also have your hand up. You're on mute. But
sorry about that. Again, under permanent members F, it's on the original bill, it mentioned the director of the Bureau of Maine Veteran Services. It seems to be the consensus that that's where we want the leadership to come from, that it would be under the purview of the Bureau of Maine Veteran Services.
Okay.
And should we state that someplace?
I think it should be stated. Representative Greenwood, you also have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I just wanted to make sure that we're letting the associations make their nominations and the governor just like ratifies the appointment. I guess I'm just trying to be clear, and there's no reason why we would need to do governor and speaker and president. I think it should all be governor. But again, we're trying to emphasize that the names are coming from the respective associations.
Okay, so the governor shall receive nominations from various interested associations to consider, correct? Okay, Representative Bryant, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was on the same line as Representative, that if we try to split it up by 3 entities without designating which organization they were appointing, it would be kind of confusing. So we'd have to give some direction if we were going to go 3, because they could all be appointing the same person. You know what I mean? That's it's kind of. And then we also had the third part. If we're directing the governor to do all of them, are we? Is that something that they want for another branch of government themselves to give them everything? You know.
Yep. Representative Copeland, you're on mute.
So sorry. First time I ever did that. On the same vein, I wonder if the director of the Bureau of Maine Veteran Services is amenable to being the organizing entity.
So I guess we need to, there's some further information that people would like. Representative Toole?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I was going to say that it's going to take Lynn a little bit of time to write all of this into nice, fancy reviser's lingo. And in the course of the next week, we could have her reach out to the Bureau of Veteran Services, have them come back next week. At that point, she would have this nice, fancy lingo drafted up for us. And I would be given that. If folks are okay, I'd be fine with making a motion to tabling it with that understanding.
And I'd be willing to second that.
So
Okay.
I will so move.
So it's been moved and seconded. It's a non-debatable motion. Cheryl, our little chipmunk with the shamrock. There she is. Can you call the roll?
I will do that. This is a motion to table 379, an act to establish the Maine State Cemetery Commission. Representative Randall Greenwood.
Yes.
Representative Randall Greenwood, yes. Representative Sean Paulus. Representative Sean Paulus.
Yes.
Representative Sean Paulus, yes. Representative Francis Head.
Yes.
Representative Francis Head, yes. Representative William Toole.
Yes.
Representative William Toole, yes. Representative Mark Bryant.
Yes.
Representative Mark Bryant, yes. Representative Ann Matlack.
Yes.
Representative Ann Matlack, yes. Senator Joseph Baldacci.
Yes.
Senator Joseph Baldacci, yes. Senator Kimberly Rosen.
Yes.
Senator Kimberly Rosen, yes. Senator Ned Claxton, absent. Representative Donna Dorr.
Yes.
Representative Donna Dorr, yes. Representative Walter Reisman.
Yes.
Representative Walter Reisman, yes. Representative Kathy Downs.
Yeah.
Representative Kathy Downs, yes. Representative Lynn Copeland.
Yes.
Representative Lynn Copeland, yes. It has been approved to table this bill.
Okay. Anyone, Lynn, you had your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering, can I have the committee's permission to share a draft with Ms. Shaw prior to bringing it back? Or would you like me to wait until after I bring it to you?
No, Representative Matlack, I think it's fine to circulate among interested parties.
Thank you.
That will save us time in terms of.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other, Representative Toole, you have your hand up?
And I would add to that also the Bureau of Veteran Services, or to them as well, because if they're going to be, if we're giving them authority over this, then they should have a chance to review what we're suggesting.
Right. And you should also, give Senator Marmont a copy so he knows what's happening, because I know he's worked on this issue extensively.
Yes.
So anything further? Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn. I think it's been moved.
No,
No.
no.
Lynn has something first.
Oh, Lynn, you have something first. Okay.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 2 language reviews that if the committee has time, I would like to share.
I will have to turn the reins over to Representative Matlack because I have to go to a Health and Human Services Committee meeting.
All right.
That's also going to be a work session. So Representative Matlack, you are in charge.
Thank you, sir. Lynn, what are we discussing? Representative Copeland? I'm sorry. Did you have a question, Representative Copeland?
Yes, I'm just, how long is this going to take? Should we have a 15-minute lunch break first?
No, it won't take very long.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, it'll just take a few minutes. Okay, Lynn, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we're going to do a language review of 2 bills. The first one is LD 243, which is the Piscataquis County Budget Committee, and I am going to screen share. So you'll recall I brought this and back a week ago or so, and it was wrong. So I have worked with the county manager as requested, and I did get some clarification from Representative Toole. And I believe the county manager is fine with this. What this does is what I've highlighted is the new language. So don't even think about the old bill. This is what the bill will say is first, the budget committee is established in a manner established by the county commissioners. You'll recall I mentioned some ambiguity in the statute. This allows the county commissioners to determine how to do this. So the ambiguity is addressed. The county commissioners basically deal with it. The next section states that the county commissioners must appoint 1 member who is a resident of the unorganized territory, and they may appoint up to 1 additional resident to be a member. My understanding is that is what the committee was looking for. This was a unanimous ought to pass as amended. Again, this is language review, so you don't need to vote. You just need to say, yes, Lynn, that's what we wanted, and I will move it along.
If there are any concerns about this, please raise your hand. But as far as I know, this answers the questions that we had and the conundrum with the county administrator about how to make this work more gracefully. Allow them the ability to appoint members to the county budget committee, but also recognizing that they needed to have at least 1 and perhaps 2 members from the unorganized territories. Are there any questions or concerns about this language? I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, thank you. So that's fine. That's the amendment that we will be submitting. The next one, Lynn, is?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next one is a language review, the majority report for LD 315, which was, let me get my folder open and let me try to screen share at the same time. So this is the resolve to require state departments to report on rule changes within state government since the beginning of the COVID pandemic. This was an, okay, I think I sent you all the final vote. So the final vote was ought to pass as amended 7, ought not to pass 6. And the amendment was to include the sentence that you see in red. So again, this is language review for those members who voted with the majority, ought to pass as amended. The additional language is to specify that changes made by the governor to rules during this period of time also had to be reported by departments to the committees of jurisdiction.
Thank you. Do those members who voted ought to pass, is this language acceptable to you folks? Are there any questions or concerns about this one? Representative Tool.
It looks good to me, but I think that Lynn needs to circle back with Senator Baldacci. I believe he voted for this as well. And I don't know if Representative Dorr is here, but I think I think I'm good with it. And I think we're good. The rest of us are good with it.
Okay. All right, then. Does that give you what you need, Lynn?
Yes, I will resend it to Senator Baldacci. You're right. He didn't see it before and he's not here. So I will send it to him and make sure he's okay with it. And then I'll send it along unless I run into a snafu with him.
Okay.
And that is all I have as far as language review for today.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. There being no more business before this committee this afternoon, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have several, and at least one of those is a second. So thank you very much. And I will see you on Wednesday in person.
In person.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye.